Good afternoon. Welcome to the National Press Club. My name is Donna Leinwand. I'm president of the National Press Club and a reporter for USA Today. We are the world's leading professional organization for journalists and are committed to a future of journalism by providing informative programming and journalism education and fostering a free press worldwide. For more information about the Press Club, please visit our website at www.press.org. On behalf of our 3,500 members worldwide, I'd like to welcome our speaker and our guests in the audience today. I'd like to also welcome those of you who are watching on C-SPAN. We're looking forward to today's speech, and afterwards I will ask as many questions from the audience as time permits. Please hold your applause during the speech so that we have time for as many questions as possible. For our broadcast audience, I'd like to explain that if you hear applause, it may be from the guests and members of the general public who attend our luncheon and not necessarily from the working press. I'd now like to introduce our head table guests and ask them to stand briefly when their names are called. From your right, Kelly Wright, anchor and correspondent, Fox News Channel. Kimberly Berryman, production coordinator, ABC News. Rick Dunham, Washington Bureau Chief, Houston Chronicle, and a past president of the National Press Club. Jennifer Sargent, Senior Editor, Washington Spaces Magazine, and Chairman of the National Press Club Board of Governors. Todd Purdom, National Editor for Vanity Fair. Nancy Katz, Regional Head of Bayer Diabetes Care for North America and a guest of our speaker. Skipping over the podium. Angela Greiling-Keene, Speakers Committee Chair and a reporter for Bloomberg News. Skipping over our guest, Melissa Charbonneau, Speakers Committee Vice Chair and an independent journalist with News Hook Media. She also organized this lunch, so thank you very much, Melissa. Kevin Jonas, manager for the Jonas Brothers and father of today's speaker. Betsy Fisher, executive producer, NBC News, Meet the Press. Richard Simon, congressional correspondent for the Los Angeles Times. Lisa Richwine, health reporter for Reuters. And finally, Dr. Esther Sternberg, neuroscience researcher with the National Institute of Health, a rheumatologist, lecturer, and author of Healing Spaces, The Science of Place and Well-Being. Imagine flocks of frenzied fans, swarms of young screaming girls, and ear-piercing squeals at sold-out concerts. That's just another day at the office for our guest today. He's a young man who catapulted onto the world stage as part of the Jonas Brothers trio. In case you haven't heard, they're the wildly popular Grammy-nominated teen band that in the last year has graced not one, but two covers of Rolling Stone magazine. They've been called the Clean Teen Machine and the Princes of Pop. Their 4 albums in the past 3 years have sold 8 million copies worldwide. The group's youngest member joins us today, breaking away from a summer world concert tour for its new album, Lives, Vines, and Trying Times, which debuted at #1 on the Billboard charts. He is chief songwriter, singing sensation, and teen heartthrob Nick Jonas. At age 16, Nick is the second youngest guest ever to speak from the Press Club's podium, which has been a forum for presidents and kings, CEOs, and politicians. Of course, almost anyone can sell millions of records, become a television and film star, and a teen idol, right? So we've invited Nick to discuss one of his other roles, that of international advocate for millions of children, teens, and tweens who have had the life-threatening disease juvenile diabetes. Nick grew up in a musical family in New Jersey. His mother, Denise, who homeschooled the boys, is a singer, and his father, Kevin Jonas Sr., a musician and co-founder of Christ for the Nations Music. Nick started his showbiz career at age six, starring in Broadway musicals and snagging a solo album deal before he and brothers Kevin and Joe formed the Jonas Brothers in 2006. By age 13, Nick had been dubbed a vocal powerhouse. The band was just taking off when in November 2005, Nick was dealt a life-altering blow. Landing in the hospital with a blood sugar level out of control, Nick was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, a medical condition that has no cure. He had to learn to manage his disease on the road as the Jonas Brothers saw astonishing success. Last year, Forbes named the Jonas Brothers Breakout Stars of the Year, listed in the top 10 richest pop acts of 2008 with the likes of Madonna, Celine Dion, and Coldplay. Earlier this month, the Jonases hosted the Teen Choice Awards, where they took home 5 awards. On the side, they also have their own Disney Channel series called Jonas. But instead of staying silent about his diabetes, as many public figures have done and still do, Nick is using his global platform as a pop superstar to become a role model for children with diabetes, proving that the disease does not have to slow anyone down. As celebrity ambassador for Bear Diabetes Care, Nick is leading a national campaign to inspire kids facing the daily challenges of counting carbs, testing their blood sugar, and injecting themselves with insulin that they can live a normal life. He's even written a song, Just a Little Bit Longer, about his diabetes. Together, Nick and his brothers launched the Change for Children Foundation, which this year has given nearly $500,000 in grants for diabetes programs worldwide. He testified this summer before a Senate committee for more diabetes research funding, and he met with President Obama at the White House. All this and not yet old enough to vote. So please help me welcome singer, songwriter, and actor and advocate, Mr. Nick Jonas, to the National Press Club.
Thank you, Donna, and members of the National Press Club. It's an honor to be here before you today. I'm grateful for the opportunity. I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes in November 2005. My brothers were the first to notice that I'd lost a significant amount of weight, 15 pounds in 3 weeks. I was thirsty all the time, and my attitude had changed. I'm a really positive person, and that had changed during these few weeks. It would have been easy to blame my symptoms on a hectic schedule, but my family knew I had to get to a doctor. The normal range of a blood sugar is between 70 to 120. When we got to the doctor's office, we learned that my blood sugar was over 700. The doctor said that I had type 1 diabetes, but I had no idea what that meant. The first thing I asked was, am I going to die? She looked back at me and said, no. But this is something that you'll have to live with for the rest of your life. We went right to the hospital, where I would spend the next 3 days. My stay included a crash course on getting my blood glucose levels in control and living with diabetes. On the car that night, I thought to myself, what good could come out of this? Where could the joy be? How could I turn this into something that could then encourage and inspire other people? It wasn't there. We're driving, it started to rain. Lightning strikes and thunder roars. And you think, where's the good? And it just wasn't there. Like something out of a movie, and you watch the character and you feel bad for him, but you never think it'll be you. That was me that night. And so, as I looked at my dad as he's driving the car, it clicked. That in my moment of frustration and disappointment, something good could come out of this. We are on a journey that would take us to places where I can't even begin to imagine. This last February, we performed with Stevie Wonder. Moments where you have to pinch yourself to even begin to feel the reality in it. I knew that was coming somehow, someday. And so I said, enough's enough. Enough feeling sorry for yourself. And I made a commitment to myself that night that I would not let it slow me down.